With the new mask mandate and a fresh liquor ban, South Africans will soon see soldiers back on the streets to enforce these regulations. Police Minister Cele highlighted some of the measures offenders could face under Level 3. He was speaking at a briefing earlier. Barry Bateman monitoring that one for us. He joins us live. So we could see soldiers back on South Africa's streets, but do we know when, Barry?
Good afternoon, Shahan. Not exactly when, but I've heard from sources within the SAPS that the officers there have been given a mandate to have a report in by tomorrow detailing exactly how many soldiers they will need to have support the SAPS, and the plan is to have them deployed for New Year's Eve. So what we can say, we don't know exactly when and how this is going to happen, but at the very least they will be on the streets to provide that additional support for New Year's Eve. Now, you know that it's going to be a busy evening for the authorities. This was one of the main concerns, that people were going to be out in the streets, out at the party clubs, and, you know, just going wild, essentially. So that is partly why these additional resources are going to be called in. Now, I specifically put this question to Minister Cele about the SANDF. Take a listen to what he had to say to provide a little bit of a hint of where we're going with this particular aspect.
It might not be on the same scale, but where police feel a need that they need the extra assistance, that shall be done. Already those talks are between the head of the South African National Defence Force Operations and the acting National Commissioner at the present moment, and the ministers are talking about it. So that is on the cards as we speak.
Of course, clamping down on the sale of alcohol has been one of the more contentious decisions. Cele clearly talking tough.
Well, he's certainly getting what he wanted. If you'd heard the briefings of the last couple of months, it's always been a sticking point for Minister Cele. He's very much anti-alcohol, I suppose because he sees it firsthand through the SAPS officers that he deals with and how it contributes to the levels of trauma in our hospitals, whether through crime or through road accidents and the like. So it was very much a concern that Cele had raised before, and I think his lobbying probably at the eNCA has resulted in what we've got here. But from the policing perspective, this is where he's certainly not mincing his words. When it comes down to this particular aspect, either consuming it, where you consume it, and transporting it, the minister's saying there's going to be no rest in terms of the officers enforcing the law. Take a listen to this.
Alcohol cannot be sold anywhere, whether off or on, and Minister Dlamini Zuma explained, no transportation of alcohol, which means wherever alcohol is now, stays there. There is no movement, no bottle, no can of any form of alcohol in your boot, no transportation, no distribution, no taking alcohol from next door to next door. So you will only keep the alcohol where it is at the present moment.
So one of the big announcements was making it a crime if you don't wear your mask in public. What are the finer details?
Yeah, wear your mask. I think it's one of the central messages that has been coming from government since the start of this pandemic earlier this year, Shahan. And this issue of criminalizing wearing of masks is certainly very contentious. But we did get some clarity from the authorities, and the clarity is actually there in the lockdown regulations which have been gazetted. So what it says is that the actual not wearing of a mask is not in itself unlawful. Where the offence is created, Shahan, is if a law enforcement officer requests an individual to put on a mask and they refuse that request. That is when the offence is created. So there is still a bit of leeway there. The state's saying, listen, if you don't have your mask on, a police officer is going to ask you to put it on. It's when you refuse to accede to that particular demand or that request, that is when the offence will be committed. And Minister Cele is saying there's enough rooms in our jails to have those people who are going to be breaking this particular law. Take a listen to what he had to say about this mask mandate.
Keep those masks. It has been explained now. How are they kept? The mask all the time in a public space. Keep that mask, failing which you become a client of the South African police to take you, put you in there and charge you. Unfortunately, most of you are going to have criminal records, and you know what criminal records do in your life going forward. So we are shouting, we're making clarion calls, people to respect this, but if we don't, we are going beyond the plea. Now we make sure that there are consequences.
Barry Bateman is in Pretoria. Thanks for that.